Welcome, everybody. So glad that you guys are all here. I see a lot of fun faces. People are connecting to audio, so welcome. Wave your hand if you can hear me. We're all good. Awesome. So you are all automatically muted, and that is just primarily so that we can give our guest speakers the kind of like priority of the microphone. But let's just take a couple minutes and maybe unmute yourself, say hi, tell us where you're logging in from. If you don't know how to unmute yourself, you can wave and I will help you.
I will say hi really quick. I'm out running errands, so that's why my video is off. My name's Beth Moss. Hi, everybody. I'm excited for today.
Hi, Beth. Glad you're here. I just want to say a special shout out to Wendy down there. I see your profile pic. I see that ring. Congratulations on your engagement. There you are.
Thank you. Well, I'm Wendy, tuning in from the network office. So I'm going to be working as well as listening in. So
yes, awesome.
Yeah, but thank you.
Yeah, just as a reminder, this is being recorded. So if you need to jump off for any reason and you're not able to jump back in, a replay link will be sent out to you. So you don't have to worry about that. And also it'll be a great way for anybody who wasn't able to join us today can watch the replay. So anybody else want to say hi? Let us know where you're watching from.
Barb Gilliam, I'm just here in Huntington Beach with my dog and me. Looking forward to this.
Love Huntington Beach. All right,
Sandy, I'm right up the road from Huntington Beach, Long Beach.
Long Beach. That is my direct neighbor. Yay. Karla just lost sound, so she's going to log back in just a second. So go ahead,
Colleen from Goleta, but Chi Alpha at UC Santa Barbara.
Nice. Santa Barbara is beautiful.
It is. Very lucky.
Yeah.
But Long Beach isn't bad, or Huntington Beach. Those are nice places too.
California in general is beautiful. I love Shelby's background. It like that. I can tell that's not one of those virtual backgrounds. That's a real background.
No, this is my front yard.
It's beautiful.
And I want to say that Colleen was my daughter's Chi Alpha pastor many years ago.
Many years ago. I know. I was thinking about that again. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so long.
So great. Yep. So great. So a couple more people are joining us. And
hey, but I do have a question. Shelby, where is your front yard? Like, where is that?
I'm in San Diego, technically, but we are far, far east. So we're like going towards El Centro and Yuma. And we're in Pine Valley. It's a little mountain town. Cleveland National Forest.
Yeah, that is very beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Nikki Stade and I am the elected secretary for the SoCal Network of Women Ministers. And I'm super honored today to have our team with us. Shelby Britos is as of today, our Network of Women Ministers Vice President. But many of you, if you have been in if you've received any emails or if you have been in our group and you've seen our announcement, Dr. Ava Olson, who is our current president, is going to be transitioning out. And so we are both sad and happy for her at the same time, but she's moving to Toronto soon and she's going to be doing her dream job. And so we're super happy for her, but we are sad for our loss. And so as of July 1st, Shelby will be our interim president until we're able to have our next in-person election. So we are very excited about that. She's going to be amazing. So, and then Emily Sombrito, who is over here on my screen, she is our elected treasurer and she is amazing. And so, spoiler alert, she is one of our 2 co-presenters today. So I'm super excited about today's webinar and the topic that we have for today. And then Karla Gutel, who I don't know if she's back on yet or not. Hopefully she's going to be able to jump back in a moment. She is our Executive Presbyter for the Network of Women Ministers. And so she is our other co-presenter for our webinar. So Patty Art how do you say your name? Patty, can you unmute yourself? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, good morning, ladies. It's
Good
Patty
morning.
Arlt. And my last name is pronounced Arlt.
Arlt. Yes. Thank you. It's so nice to meet you. Welcome. You are from Chino.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome.
The church, my home church is Living Word Assembly with Victor Reese.
Oh, nice. Very nice. We see a lot of friendly faces on here. Joanne is here, Steph, lots of fun people. Nellie, you look familiar. I don't know if we've officially met though, so I don't know if you want to unmute yourself, introduce yourself to us if you're able. We see Cheryl's here, and yeah, a lot of friendly faces. Karla, you're back. Can you hear us now? Do you have sound? Let me unmute you.
Oh, yes, I do. Sorry about that. Tracy and I signed in to the same account. So
Whoops. That happens to me a lot too. It's always fun when you're logged in and then somebody else jumps in and takes the host away and you're like, oh, wait, what happened? Okay. Well, we are so happy that you guys are all here. Karla, in your absence, I did some brief introductions. But today I want to go ahead and get this webinar started by just reintroducing you to Karla Gutel and Emily Sombrito, who are going to partner together today and talk to us a little bit about bridging that gap, specifically the generational gap in ministry and leadership. So I would just want to encourage all of you to please keep your mics muted so that they can have kind of control of the floor, priority there, but you are welcome to participate in the chat. So if you have any questions or if you want to comment or anything like that, you are more than welcome to use the chat. And if we have time at the end, we might be able to do some Q&A. We will be doing a giveaway. So if you want to have your name put in the giveaway, make sure that you stick around to the very end and we will make sure to do that. And then again, as a reminder, if you're just joining us, this is being recorded and a link to the replay will get emailed to you when you registered. That gives us the opportunity to be able to email you the replay link at the end of the day. So as soon as we get that up, you will have the replay. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and I'll be hanging out with you guys in the chat and I'm going to hand it over to Karla and Emily.
Well, good morning. This is exciting for Emily and I to be sharing with you about a subject that we feel very passionate about. And that is the importance of relationships with other women, and particularly having relationships that are not just best girlfriends, but are mentor-mentee type relationships, with our understanding that it's God's plan that older women have a part in speaking into the lives of younger women. And the one scripture that talks about that is from Titus chapter 2, starting with verse 3 to 5. It says, likewise, teach the older women to be reverent in the way they live, not to be slanderers or addicted to much wine, but to teach what is good. Then they can urge the younger women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled and pure. And it says to be busy at home, just to be busy wherever God plants us. To be kind, to be subject to their husbands if they're married, so that no one will malign the word of God. So Paul gives us an admonition that as older women, we have a responsibility to teach younger women. Some of the biblical examples of that are Ruth and Naomi in their relationship with each other, as well as Mary and Elizabeth and the relationship that they had with each other across generational lines. You know, today in our society, I know some older women. Now, for those friends that are on this Zoom call today, we're probably fit into one of two categories, an older woman or a younger woman. Emily called them the youngers and the olders. And I have to admit to you, I don't like thinking of myself in that older crowd sometimes, but more and more often I'm finding that I'm the oldest person in the room. So my 17-year-old granddaughter said to me, Grandma, you're old and you just have to embrace it. So today I am embracing that with you ladies today. I am one of the olders, Emily, that you talk about. And I do know a lot of older women that are taking a place and doing what God's told them to do. And yet at the same time, I think for many of us, we look at this, our society today, as a private society. Many times older women don't want to approach younger women or become involved in their life. They're just thinking, let you guys live your life and do what you want to do. But today we're going to talk about some practical things. We're going to have a conversation with each other about how we can bridge that generation gap. I'm going to turn it over to my friend, Emily.
Yeah, so good, so good. We're going to have, like Karla said, a conversation that it's kind of like a panel, I guess you could say. And like Nikki said at the beginning, or if you're just now joining us, if questions come up that are specific that we haven't covered, or you want to have a different take on it, or you have it's just something different, go ahead and type in the comments. We plan on having a Q&A at the end. But we are going to be having a conversation about how to be mentored and how to become a mentor. Because while how Karla was saying, and we were agreeing, and it definitely was what I was saying, there's the olders and the youngers, and I was taking notes. I said there's the olders and the youngers, and some of you guys are saying I'm the middle, right? What's really great about having a mentor or being the mentoree is that either way you take it, either way you spin it, you can either be the younger or the older. You yourself, no matter what age that you are at, you can be the older or the younger. Just a little background on me. I'm very used to being the youngest in the room. I serve on a staff that is older. I get the you're the baby. I'll just be honest with you. I just turned 29 last month. I'm used to serving on a team that's usually 40s and above, 50s and above, and so I'm very used to being the younger in the group. And going just forward on kind of talking about this, just so you guys know, Karla and I have this mentoring relationship. I came to Karla probably about 2 years now. Karla, would you say pushing 2 years? Saying, hey, Karla, would you be interested in being a mentor for me? I need somebody who I can come to. And I have many mentors in my life, but I'm just going to be specific with my relationship with Karla. And I came to her, and that was a big step for me. And what we're going to be talking about later on today is the mindsets of both sides, the mindsets of the youngers, the mindsets of the olders, what that means, and what kind of expectations each of us have. And when we were preparing for this, Karla and I, we were bouncing back ideas off of one another, and it actually kind of turned out into the conversation that we wanted to have with you today. What were my expectations? What were her expectations? And honestly, what we discovered was on both sides, there needs to be almost a self-pride pushed aside from both sides. Me as a younger person coming to someone who is older saying, I need help. Will you come and mentor me? My self-pride needs to die. But then also, as how Karla was saying when we were talking, was as an older, having that self-pride die as a feeling. What did you say, Karla? I wrote it down. It was feeling like the oldest in the room, feeling that oldness. And how do we connect? How do we find similarities? How do we even have conversations as having this generational gap? We'll touch a little bit on in specifically for ministry, but this isn't just for ministry. This is specifically having that mentor or mentoree in your life. So I just wanted to talk about, start off with the mindsets of the youngers. But I do want to say that as I'm talking, this is something that is coming from my own personal perspective, speaking kind of for the youngers. However, each person, no matter what age, they have a different perspective on things. We all have different perspectives on things. We have different personalities. We take things differently. We each have the way we process things differently. And so as we jump into this, I want to encourage you to maybe start thinking about you yourself personally on how you can either be the mentor or maybe ask to be mentored, because each of us in any season that we're in can either take that responsibility upon ourselves, and it is a responsibility. We're going to be talking about that. So Karla, did you want to say anything as we jump into this?
You go ahead, Emily, and I'll.
Okay, cool. Okay, so first of all, something that I still struggle with now is that it is super easy for a younger person, and I'm just, again, speaking specifically for the mindsets of the youngers, to feel like we are not being heard or represented well, that we are often pushed aside, that we are often, because we are younger, oh, that's a nice idea, but we don't do it that way, and I'm going to push, to the side. We don't have that experience. We don't have the knowledge or even the say-so. And so in our minds, when we are not rejected, but, oh, that was a nice idea, there is a time where we can clam up. We'll either shut down or we'll push back. And that's, that is because, and there is a level of just not feeling like we are being heard or represented. It's easy for a younger person, like I said, to push back or shut down when we don't feel heard or represented. And I want to be careful about how that sounds. As a younger person, we need to make sure that we are respecting our elders. That's even scriptural, right? Respect your elders. And it's hard to be able to speak up for ourselves when we are the younger person and not sound like we are being disrespectful. Does that kind of make sense? So a lot of times for myself, I would just wouldn't say anything. I would sit back and say, okay, well, I was told no, so I'm just not going to say anything. And that will actually transfer to just even future conversations. So there's a lot of what would you say, perseverance at that. Like, I would just shut down. So when mentoring a younger, so now we're going to switch it a little bit. When mentoring younger, when you come and talk to us, I encourage to try listening more than speaking. And you're like, wait a second, I'm the mentor. I'm supposed to be speaking into your life, right? But as a younger, we want to be what? Heard and represented well. So with that, we need someone who we can go and talk to, who would be willing to listen. We don't want to be talked at. We want to be heard and represented well. But we are, and again, that self-pride needs to die, but we definitely need wisdom, which is why I wanted to come and find him. I need someone who has wisdom. I need someone who has that experience. What happens when this happens? We know in Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun, right? What happens when this happens? I'm walking through this right now. I need somebody who I can come and talk to about this and have it be a safe place. I need to make sure that where and who I come to is going to be a safe place, especially when it involves ministry, because that involves people, right? We don't want things being spread about, but it's hard to ask for help. It's hard to ask for help, not necessarily just in the younger perspective, but in the older perspective. It's hard to ask for help. I have I feel a very healthy relationship with Karla. I can come to her literally about everything and anything, and she will listen, and she will say, wow, that really stinks. And you know what? That's encouraging. Yeah, that does stink. Thank you for saying that really stinks. You know what I mean? Because what happens, this is a true thing, and this is where it gets me most, is if I come to somebody with an experience saying this is happening in my life, and someone can say, you know what? I went through this, and this is what happened, and XYZ things happens, and you know what? It's all going to be okay. But I'm not okay right now. Can you be with me in the moment of I'm not okay right now? And Karla is a fantastic person saying, I'm hurting with you. I'm sorry that this is happening with you. And that is what a mentor does, is sits in the trenches with you and is there to celebrate with you, because there's ups and downs. There to celebrate with you, but there to also cry with you when things don't go according to plan. But as a mentor, I'm not looking to get parented. I don't need another parent. I need someone who I can come to and talk with, and someone to listen and then validate what I'm going through at this time. If I come to you and I say, hey, I'm going through this, what do I do? Or I'm literally just going to just complain, because that's a thing too. There's a lot of drama that gets added into having a mentoring and mentee relationship. Are you prepared to jump into another relationship that has more drama into it? That's a question that you have to ask yourself. Am I willing to take on more than just my own drama, my own family dramas, my own work dramas, but now I'm going to take on somebody else's drama and still have it be a safe place? But I'm looking for what? To be heard, to be represented well, but also to be validated. What you're going through, that's a real thing. I may have some experience in it, but I can't know exactly what you're going through, but I'm sorry you're going through it. Does that kind of make sense? Karla, anything that you want to add?
Yes, and I think for all of us, as Emily said, we all have relationships that we are the older, because Emily works with some high school students that she mentors. All of you that maybe fit into Emily's younger category, you're still the older mentor to some people. There's even some girls in your church that think you are really old, even if you're only 29. But I would say for those of us, when we are in those mentoring relationships, it is important to realize that we have to listen first. A lot of times when we're the older person, we're ready to come in. Now, we say that men always want to solve things quickly, but let me tell you, older women want to solve things for you too. And there is that temptation for us just to come in and say, okay, I've done that before, and if you'll just do this, you will be okay. And so the first thing that I would encourage you in response to what Emily said is to be willing to listen. Sometimes when you're older and you're in a mentoring relationship, you have the feeling of, I have so many good things to say right now. I've had that same experience. If you would just listen to me, you would not have to suffer that problem. Just do what I tell you to do. I believe that when you get those temptations, that comes from the enemy, because he knows that when you're mentoring younger women, that you are going to be setting up a wall instead of opening up a bridge to those communications. So I have to constantly remind myself, listen first. Discern, what is it that she needs right now? Does she need to be just told, I'm just sorry, with no advice? Or is she asking for some advice? One of my friends, the mentors that I've had in my life, used to say to me, she said, I'm not okay, you're not okay, but that's okay. And sometimes that's what I have to say to Emily. Right now, we're not okay, but eventually we will be. And we are going to win these victories, and we are going to conquer in the battles. But for today, we're not okay, and that's okay. So there needs to be freedom for that. I know that sometimes when you're talking to a young person, you can feel really old. And in fact, I tease some of the younger people that I relate to, and I call myself a dinosaur. And in relationship to some things, I am a dinosaur in comparison with millennials. And yet, if I will just learn from them, I can learn from Emily and from other women that I mentor, the younger women in my life. They're going to keep me relevant. They're going to teach me the things that I need to know to relate to the next generation. I had to learn that when millennials send you a text message, they're expecting a response, even if it's just a thumbs up or love it. If you don't respond, you may very well offend them, like you didn't care to even read their text message. And I have to keep reminding myself of that. Because I am a dinosaur, I don't always have my cell phone right in front of me. And if I'm really having a rough day or if I'm tired, I put my phone away so I don't have to deal with it. So I'm not always going to get right back to you. But I have learned from my younger friends that making that response is important. And I think my younger friends have to understand me, and that sometimes I have to set my own boundaries. I have a busy life. I'm full-time in the ministry. I have 6 living children. I have 8 grandchildren. I have a bunch of people that I mentor and minister to. And sometimes I feel like everything that I have to give has been given for that particular day. And then I need to step back and I need to honor my own boundaries in my life so that I can stay healthy. So it's important for younger people to realize sometimes we may not get to your text till the next day, but it's not because we're rejecting you. It's because we're just trying to be healthy ourselves too.
Absolutely. And as a younger, I had to learn that. I had to learn that I will not get an immediate response back. And you're absolutely right, Karla. We can be like, what did I do? Did I say something offensive? Did I post something on social media that offended this person? Did I do something wrong? And it just starts kind of like honestly domino affecting. And when Karla and I got to be able to have some of these heart-to-heart real conversations, because that's also what I want to encourage you, us to have as you have this relationship, is to have those personal stories, to talk about how you respond or how you receive things. Honestly, I'm a type 1. I'm very much like, I'm an overthinker. I need like things in set. I'm a perfectionist. But honestly, a lot of it is that I don't want to disappoint people. That is my huge thing, is I don't want to disappoint people. And kind of maybe even in that younger mindset is that we are trying to live up to some expectations. And so we want that encouragement. So when I text Karla, and you know what, sometimes it doesn't even have to be a long text. I'm young physically, but I'm like, we joke, I'm the oldest young person you'll ever meet. I'm super old. Where I even told Karla, I said, I'd prefer just to talk on the phone. I still like handwritten notes. I'm okay with text, but we'll send each other just like, hey, praying for you. Or I'll send a funny GIF, or I'll send one of those little Bitmojis of just like hugs. And it's like, I really needed that right now. It's not even an everyday conversation. It's not even an every other day conversation or a contact. It's maybe a once a week, maybe an every other week. But what needs to happen is that there needs to be some sort of consistency. I know I can come to you. It could be, maybe sometimes it is every single day when big things happen. Like when personal stuff goes on, each of us write down, I know I write down like the prayer request. That was a check in my spirit. How Karla helped me grow was to write down, wow, that's a big thing. Let me write this down. And I'm going to come and revisit that with you. It's my responsibility also as a younger to come and try and pour into my mentor's life. How are you doing? How are you doing physically? How are you doing mentally? How's your family doing? And then especially in this quarantine time, it's not just me receiving, it's me also pouring back into. Does that make sense? We as youngers cannot just be expecting to be able to receive and get, but we also need to have that relationship back and forth. I did want to touch upon, Karla mentioned schedules. Know your limits. Know your limits, and have it be okay where it's okay to say no. You know what? My schedule's super busy right now. Even if it's something that has been on the calendar, like there's been times where Karla and I will have like hey, let's just FaceTime, or can I call you? You know what? I can't right now. And that needs to be okay. Knowing each other's schedules. But also to say, you know what? I can't right now, but can I call you in a couple days? Or can I, to make sure that there's something put back up on the calendar to make sure that you have that accountability. Because very quickly with scheduling and the busyness of everything, those connections can just fly by, and then we forget to have those connections, and then that relationship ends up fading away, and we want to prevent that as much as possible. Let's see. Let's talk about challenges. As a younger person, don't be afraid to challenge us. Don't be afraid to challenge. You know what? I see maybe you're struggling with this right now. You know, I want to challenge you. Let's figure out how we can push past that barrier, because not only should we know our limits, but as my mentor, who is Karla, she helps me push past those things that I think I can't get through. I can't do that. And we need to know what we can, like, that's a boundary. You're done. You need to sit down and you need to rest. And you know what? For me, I need someone to say, you need to sit down, you need to rest. So she's good about, you need to know your boundaries. But then she'll flip it. And this is what I also need. Are you sure that you can't do that? Are you sure that that's something that you can't do? And she'll help me and encourage me to push me past and stretch my spiritual muscles, or stretch my, even coming into the ministry on what I can or cannot do. Oh, I've never done this before. You know what I mean? I'm scared. I don't know if I can do this. And it helps push past those things that we can't do or think that we can't do. So we need that. Let's see. Be real. Be real in your conversations. Let us know that it's a safe place to be able to come and be real. So it's very easy to just start airing laundry. You know what I mean? It's very easy to just start going and talking and venting. And there needs to be a safe place where it's like, I need someone that I can come to and just say, this is what's going on, and this is really hard right now. But we also need to know that it's not going to be leaked out. I can come to and it's going to be confidential. You know what I mean? Let's see. Okay, here's one. Take interest. I'm an old younger, so I don't have a lot of presence. I'm trying to be better about having presence on social media, especially during what's going on right now. But take interest in what we're posting. Does that make sense? When I post something, you know, am I seeing that she's liking my stuff? I know it sounds super petty, but that makes me see like, oh, she's encouraging me, as just a younger mindset of, oh, that's really nice that she's encouraging me, or I've posted something or a picture, or I said something, and this is simple like can go a long way. It doesn't have to be a comment. It's like, oh, she liked it. That makes me feel good about myself. It's those little tiny encouraging boosts throughout the day that really do help. Take interest in each other's lives. Hey, I remember you were about to go into this meeting. How'd that meeting go? Taking interest in each other's lives, personal lives, schedules, to be able to encourage one another. But I'm a big like celebrate your birthday kind of person. I'm a big celebrate your anniversary kind of person. So, and again, that's just me. That does not necessarily mean that's all youngers. That's just me. So Karla knows that because that's me, she takes interest in the things that help feed into my love language even, or my my what I get and receive as encouragement. But I don't know, anything else, Karla, that you can think of that I haven't touched on? I'm trying to read through our notes here.
I think what Emily said is really true. And I hope you picked up on, when you're a mentor to someone else, you need to get to know the person that you're relating to. I'm a person that my millennial friends have taught me about the Enneagram. And that is a really helpful tool. We're not going to get into a spiritual discussion about it right now, but it helps me when Emily took that and I knew that she was what her type was, and that I could understand that about her, and that she could understand me. I'm a 3-wing 4, and that's going to reflect how I relate to her. I wanted to learn about love languages so that I could understand how to let Emily know that I really accepted her and that I really loved her. Sometimes you have to find places to be able to forgive the person you're mentoring or the person who is mentoring you. Let me tell you, we are human, and I will fail you. I will fail Emily. I will fail my children because I'm not perfect. I used to think that I could reach perfection someday, but I gave that up a few years ago, thank God. I definitely have the S tattooed on my chest that I thought I had for a while. I make mistakes. I hurt feelings. One of the times that I was very, I think Emily was hurt by me. I don't know, Emily, if you would go that far to say I hurt you, but Emily loves to have Bible reading plans with her friends. And that's one thing she's always saying, will you join me in this Bible reading plan? Well, I had to tell Emily no, that I wasn't going to join her. And I told her, I said that particular day that she asked me to be in a Bible reading plan with her, 6 other people had asked me to join their Bible reading plans too. There wouldn't have been time for my own Bible study if I was doing everybody else's Bible reading plans. So I had to explain that to Emily. This isn't because I don't love you and I don't care about you, but I have to work on my own boundaries right now too. And so I just decided to tell all 6 of you no about your Bible reading plans and say, I'm really working on something in my life right now. And did that hurt you, Emily?
No, it didn't hurt me. It brought a question more. It makes me question more. What's funny is that a lot of it, and again, that's the self-pride that needs to die, like get pushed aside, is that it starts almost putting, is it a reflection on me? I'm not hurt by it, but did I do something? And again, it's the being validated as a younger person. She doesn't want to be my friend. It's not about that. You know what I mean? It's not about that. It's about knowing and respecting each other's schedules, that it's okay to say no sometimes. And that's something that I even struggle with myself. I'm a yes person. I'll be there. But again, that's my personality. That's not all youngers necessarily, but I would say probably as a younger, just being validated. Like, you know what? Thank you for inviting me. And we had a Karla and I talked about it. And she was like, I'm sorry that I didn't join, but this is what's going on. And me hearing that from her, on her being real about what's going on in her life, gets, like, I respect her for that. And I respect our relationship with that. And being open that way adds to the mentoring. Okay, I can go and I can accept that and I can move forward with that. And so being open and being real and being vulnerable in front of each other will add a lot to the mentoring relationships. It might sound a little bit odd, but hear me on this, just hear me out. When I see someone who I respect, someone who is older than I am, struggling in a way that I can relate to, that speaks into my life saying, okay, it's not just me, or it's not just because I'm younger, or it's not because I don't know what I'm doing, or maybe it's because I'm doing something wrong. It's literally because we live in a world where stuff comes up. We live in a world where those valleys come and those hard times come, and we can live in a world where there's good peaks but that's not a reflection on who I am. I can relate to my mentor because we can walk through those hard times together and support one another and build one another up. Just like how Karla was mentioning with Ruth and Naomi, or even Mary and Elizabeth. Let's be honest, what was Mary going through at this time? She could go and be with someone in a really hard time. And even with Naomi, they were there for each other in those hard times. And I think that speaks volumes when those times come.
So I think understanding and being vulnerable and open are important. Another thing that's important is confidentiality. Emily said earlier, she needed a safe place to go. This seems weird, Emily and I talking about our relationship, because I haven't talked with people about the fact that Emily and I have been in a relationship for 2 years, a mentoring relationship. I need to be willing to keep things quiet that Emily tells me, so she knows that she doesn't have to be threatened by me knowing intimate personal details about her. And she has earned my respect in the same way. I have shared with her some of the hard things that I'm going through in life, because I think it helps her to know she's not the only one with struggles. You can still be 67 years old and be feeling some of those same things that Emily feels at 29. You know, I think that, and our time is really running by fast, but I want to mention, we have said that it's important to be in mentoring relationships. And I feel like you need 3 different kinds of relationships with women in your life. You need to have a relationship with someone who's older and wiser. You need to have a relationship with a peer mentor or a friend, a girlfriend that's going through the same things that you're going through. And you need to be in a relationship with someone younger, someone that you can minister to and someone that you can help train. And to find, so if we all accept that as a reality, then we need to be intentional about seeking out mentoring relationships. I kind of want to, when I was 24 years old, I was a pastor's wife. I was working full-time as a nurse. I had 2 young children. My baby girl had just been born with birth defects, and I had a lot of stuff going on in my life. And I needed someone to talk to. Now, let me tell you, when I was in my 20s in the church, it was not spiritual to seek counseling or mentoring relationships. It was supposed to be, if you were married, it was you and your husband, and God could take care of everything. But I really needed a woman that could minister to me. And I remember one night I was praying at the altar, and I was really crying out to God at our church altar on a Sunday night. And a woman that was a little older than me and more experienced, she was a professional counselor, came up to me and she was praying for me. And then she leaned over and she whispered in my ear. And she said, "Karla, there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. And I want to be that friend to you. I see that you have problems in your life. God wants to use you, but you have to overcome some things before you can be used by God. And I feel that God has told me that I'm supposed to be the one to minister to you right now." That was the wrong thing for her to say. First of all, I didn't even like her. I always said the last person I would ever seek advice from was that woman. And here she is saying she sees all my faults and that I need her. I was going, God, no way am I ever going to be sharing anything with her and be vulnerable to her. And the Lord had to work on me and say, okay, she may not have handled that right, but I was sending her to you. And we began a mentoring relationship. We met one night a week after I put my kids to bed. We met at a coffee shop at 9 o'clock at night for 2 years. And she invested in me. We would sometimes talk through most of the night on things that we needed to deal with. But she invested in me at a very vulnerable time in my life, and it helped me receive incredible healing. From that, I decided, though, I was never going to go to someone and say, I feel God wants me to be your mentor. And kind of what I think that it should be, the person seeking a mentor should be the one to make the initial contact, to the initial ask. And I think the person, if you want a mentor in your life and you don't have one, begin looking around. Who do you see that you feel that you could listen to, that you could learn from? Who do you see that maybe God is directing you into their life? And pray about it and begin to seek God. Is this truly the right one? And then be bold enough. Emily said younger people sometimes are afraid. What if she had approached me and asked if I would mentor her and I said no? And that held her back from making the ask. So I want to encourage younger people, make the ask. There's some of us here that are willing, but we're waiting on you to approach us. But in the same way, when you're going to be a mentor to someone else, and often you see women that you feel like God is drawing you to them, and that Perhaps you have something that you could speak into their life right now. You need to give them some hints. You know, start approaching them, and even if it's on Facebook or Instagram, and saying, how are you doing? Is there anything you need prayer for? You know, just kind of giving them some hints that you would be available. Don't make them tremble in their boots to ask you with fear of rejection, but you let them know that you are available. And if they're willing to talk to you, you're willing to listen. And then step back and wait for them to make that connection. And then make your official, you have to be official a little bit about, okay, we're going to be in a relationship. Yes, I'm going to be available to you. Here are, usually when I enter a relationship, in most cases, I give it a time limit. I say, let's try this for 6 months and then talk about if this is still working or not. If I am a mentor to you today, that doesn't mean you have to have me in your life till Jesus comes. But I want to let you know that you have when the time is right, maybe we will move on to other relationships too. So I just really want to encourage you, if you're looking to mentor, be available. Give someone a hug. When you're in a meeting with them, go over and pray for them. Send them a message on Facebook or on Instagram and let them know that you're available. And then that will open the door for them to be able to approach you. Emily, I think that takes our time if we're going to let them do some questions and answers.
And I was looking at some people's questions right now, and you had answered about how do we go about having and developing that relationship. And I think you addressed it well on waiting for someone to come to you and ask, also encouraging those to ask. And again, it doesn't matter what age you are. You can still have someone pour into your life, even if you put yourself in that middle category or the older category or whatever it is, someone can still pour into your life. But I think definitely we should be answering some questions if we have any. I don't know, Nikki, if you wanted to unmute, and if you've been seeing, I'm trying to scroll up on the chat.
I did notice that someone said they asked about an Enneagram test, and there is just a free Enneagram test online that you can take that helps you perhaps understand what the Enneagram is about. Is to help you understand your personality and how you relate to others, and other people and their personality, and how you can relate most effectively with them. I think a lot of times we love people, even with our kids. I've heard teenagers say, my parents do not love me. And I said to them, no, your parents love you. They're just not sure how to communicate that love. And if you get to know things about, when I understand somebody's personality, I understand their love languages, I understand what their needs are, it helps me be more effective in showing them love. So I think, Becky, you asked about that. You can look up something online, a free test for Enneagram. I will give you a spoiler alert. There are some Christians that feel it's not appropriate for Christians. You look at it and decide how you're going to use it in your own life too. Joanne asked how you end a mentoring relationship.
I was reading that.
And
go ahead.
That's a good question, because there needs to come a time when, perhaps your schedule, your ministry changes, maybe the mentoree's needs have changed and they need a different kind of a mentor. And that needs to be part of the, discussion, that we are not here till Jesus comes. And, I may someday have to say to Emily, I think I've kind of given you all that I can give you. And I think you need to look for someone else to be in a relationship with you right now. I think because we've developed a bond, I'm going to be able to say that. And I'll say to her someday, maybe we won't meet regularly now, but I'm always going to be in your corner, and you can always come to me, and you can always share prayer requests, and I'm always going to be there for you. But this intentional relationship, perhaps it has come, it's time for it to come to an end. So I think that that really needs to be part of when establishing the relationship too.
Yeah.
Have anything to add on that, Emily?
No, I think that's good. I think the way that it is worded, I think definitely saying or setting some, here's the thing, is if the mentoring has gone well, if you have been pouring into this person's life, or if it's been reciprocated and you have this great friendship, even because coming into a relationship, a mentoring relationship, Karla and I felt had even a small friendship of acquaintance before I even came to her. She took notice into my life. She was there for me when I was pregnant with the twins. How are you doing? She'd pour into my husband's life, just, through School of Ministry stuff. But she took interest into my life before I even came to her. So developing that friendship beforehand is super important, but continuing a friendship of still saying, I think you're right, Karla. Hey, maybe it's not going to be an every week thing, every month thing, but you know what? If something comes up and you feel like you want to come and talk to me about something, I'm still here for you. That's encouraging as a younger person to hear. And I see here, Sandy, you're talking about Bill Dogtrim, who I love and respect. He actually is my favorite professor at Vanguard University, and I have sat down with him across the table at Starbucks, and I agree with you. She said that he does not accept being a mentor, but he is willing to walk with that person, and that's exactly how he words it. We used to joke on campus, we say, if Bill Dogtrim invites you to coffee, it's not a compliment. It means like, hey, let me help you. I'm here to be able to listen. I kind of see you struggling with some things, and he was there. But again, he did it with a finesse, and kind of how Karla was saying was, we don't ever want to come to a person saying, I see you got a lot of stuff going on, let's come and talk to you about it. But he did it in a way where it was an open, hey, come and I'm going to be here. And you know what? Something connects when you break bread together, if you will. And it doesn't always have to be food. It could be coffee. It could be whatever that gesture would be of breaking down those barriers, staying across the table, if you will. And of course, we can't necessarily meet in person. I haven't seen Karla personally in a very long time, but we still FaceTime, or we'll still call, or we'll still have those texts. But developing that relationship is super important, and making sure that there is a commitment, that I'm not going to come into this mentoring relationship knowing that my schedule's too busy. Be okay to say, you know what, I would love to, but I don't think that I could actually mentor you properly or even beneficially for you. So right now I'm going to have to say, not right now, but still come to me. I'll still pray for you. I'll still be here for you, but that's okay. I would rather have someone tell me no because I don't think I could help you with my own personal schedule right now than say yes and then disappoint me later. So that's what I would say.
And I think a lot of it is semantics too. Whether you call yourself, a mentor or a counselor or an older friend. I mean, I know that Bill says that he won't be a mentor to anyone, but I know about a dozen people that say, Bill Dogtrim is my mentor. So it's semantics too.
Yeah. Nellie, go ahead.
I don't think I don't even know if we ever used the word mentor with each other or mentoree before preparing for this. So, I think it's just relationships.
Yeah. And I think honestly, you have probably, if you can think back right now, you probably even have a mentor right now in your life who you can go to when you need to talk about something, and you didn't even use the word mentor, because it truly is about relationships. In my notes, they say it's a discipleship. It's a discipleship. We're walking through people with, if we're literally here to be able to mentor people, but I'm here to be able to learn, and I'm here to be able to pour back into. It's a relationship. It's a hanging out. It's a taking interest in each other's lives, learning about who the other person is, and really truly wanting to love that person. I know we're kind of coming up on that time, and I want to give space for the giveaways, but Nellie asked one more question on what is the best way to handle the challenge of releasing a mentor who expresses hurt when you have entered a season or transition to where that mentor is no longer needed, or needed any longer in the same capacity. So let's see. is it like I'm releasing a mentor, or are you trying to ask Nellie of how we don't need that mentor anymore? I want to be careful.
I think it's the opposite of the question you answered before, where instead of how do you know as a mentor it's time to end the relationship, I think she's asking, how do you as the mentee let your mentor go without hurting feelings? Is that right, Nellie? Give me thumbs up or thumbs up.
Yes. I actually have been in that challenging stage with a person who mentored me as I grew in the Lord. And now that like I've been appointed as a MA, so it's been a challenge. Like she's more expressing like anger because she wanted me to go in a different direction. And so it's been a challenge of like, so it's no longer a supportive relationship. And so how do I go about releasing them? Because it's like she just keeps getting her feelings hurt. And it's like, okay, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings by not doing what you want me to do, because I feel like God's calling me in this direction. I don't know. And I'm trying not to hurt her feelings because, you know, I love her and she's a great woman of God. It's just, you know.
Well, and I think just stop talking to her. If you've tried to talk to her and she gets her feelings hurt, just kind of, have you ever been in a conversation with someone on the phone that they just keep violating the principles that you've taught or whatever, and eventually you have to say, okay, I'm sorry, but this conversation can't go on any further, and hang up? You know, that's right, Joanne, just ghost them. If you have to set your own boundaries too. And if it becomes unhealthy for you, you need to be willing to step away from a relationship. So that's really her problem, not your problem.
Yeah, don't put that on you.
Feelings hurt.
Yeah. Is that something that's common though? Because, you know, I feel like I'm the only one that's ever had this issue, and I know I'm probably not, but is it something that's common? You know, because I don't feel like I'm the only one that I've seen this happen with in her life. So I'm like, is it just a personal thing, or I don't know. I don't know if I make sense.
No, Tracy just said she's had that happen too.
Yeah. We've all had it happen.
Yeah.
We've had it happen.
Yeah.
So, I want to mention something that Adelita had asked about how many people you can have a relationship with. And I really think that depends on the season of your life. There was a time that my husband and I were the missionary in residence at Vanguard University. And that was about 25 years ago or so. And during that time, there were a lot of women on campus at Vanguard that had no other women to relate to. So I let people know that if they wanted to meet with me, that I would be available to them in a mentoring relationship. Back 25 years ago, that was definitely what we called it. And so I just put out that I was available. I did start doing a group mentoring once a week. It was a Bible study that we announced that it was for women in leadership that could come, and that it was going to be a mentoring Bible study. And we talked about, as a group, we did group mentoring. During that period of time, that became my main focus in my ministry. And during that time, I had 40 different young students that I was mentoring. And I was meeting with all of them once a week or every other week. So do the math. That was basically my full-time job at that point. And but now, you know, for the last period of time, I've been the director at School of Ministry, and that ministry of my life is just changing right now. And I'm going into a new ministry that is basically a mentoring, caregiving relationship ministry. So I'm going to go back into a season where I will be meeting with dozens of people on a regular basis. And so it just depends on the season in your life. And you may have to say to somebody, my plate is full right now. I'd love to be involved with you, but I have no more time. Mm-hmm. Just be open. Does that answer your situation?
I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of time, I don't want to kill the vibe here, but we are at the end of our time here today. And so I just want to encourage you, if you had a question and it wasn't answered during this webinar today, or if you think of something later, maybe even while you're watching the replay, you are welcome to join our SoCal Network of Women Ministers private Facebook group, and you can ask your question there. Our team is all a part of that group, including Karla and Emily, and so they'd be more than happy to help you guys in any way in that private Facebook group. I do have one quick announcement, and then Shelby, I'm going to kick it over to you to do giveaways. I'm just going to share my screen so you can see this announcement here. But we had been advertising for most of the year that we were going to, we were kind of helping to put in a plug for the National Network of Women Ministers Leadership Summit. They were actually having a conference in October, and it was going to be an in-person conference, but because of everything that happened with COVID-19 and social distancing and all of that, they have decided to postpone that conference. They didn't want to cancel it because they still want to have all those speakers and that theme and everything. They're just postponing it until a later date to be determined. But in the meanwhile, they are planning a virtual leadership summit for October 24th, 2020, and it's going to be on a live platform on Facebook and YouTube, and there's going to be some really amazing nationally known speakers and leaders that are going to be part of this leadership summit, and it's absolutely free. And so as soon as we get, I think registration will go live in August, and so as soon as that goes live, I will make sure to put that information in the Facebook group so that everybody who's interested can join that. We are also having another webinar, but we are not having it until August. And so sometime in July, we will be sending out registration for that as well. But it is going to be hosted by Jody Dietrich, who is an amazing author and speaker. And she is going to be giving us some really practical teachings on how to be a better preacher and speaker. And so we're really excited about that. So we're going to make sure we get that information out to you as well. So Shelby, go ahead and unmute yourself and let's do 2 giveaways.
All right.
So it'll be really fun.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to Karla and Emily. You guys are both just deep wells of love and wisdom, and we could really just listen all day. So thank you guys so much for putting this together for us. And I'm thankful it's recorded so people can hop on later too. So it's been great to spend some time this morning. But Nikki has, I believe, already put in all of your names into her app on her phone. It's like a hat drawing, but you know, virtual. So she's going to go ahead and hit the button. And if your name gets called, if you could just put your email into the chat, and we'd be happy to get out, I believe it's a Starbucks gift card to you, because who doesn't need that right now? So yeah. Go ahead, Nikki. Let's see who our first winner is.
Our first winner is Steph Galbancia.
Ooh, all right.
So yay. Steph, put your email address in the chat so that we can get that to you. So
all right.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I heard they have a new pineapple drink. I can't wait to try it. So
that sounds good. All right. We got one more. Go for it, Nikki.
All right. And we have Becky, Rebecca Kaigoy. You won too, a Starbucks gift card. Yay! So Rebecca, put your email address in the chat so that we can make sure to get you that. Yay, congratulations, everybody. Sweet. Well, yes, I just want to repeat what Shelby said. Thank you so much to Karla and to Emily for your wisdom. There's so much that can be said about mentoring and just having relationships and bridging the gap between the generations. Especially now we have Gen Z that is entering the leadership scene. The oldest Gen Zer is, I believe, a sophomore in college this year. And so we have multiple generations that are on the scene right now, and there's a lot of wisdom to be shared. And so I want to encourage all of you to find somebody to speak into your life, but be open to speaking into the lives of others, that be, like they said, reciprocal, because there are things that Gen Z and millennials can teach me as a Gen Xer, and there are things that I can teach the boomers who are above me, and just as much as I can learn from all of them as well. So thank you guys for being a part of this. We cannot wait to see you again in August, and make sure that you join our group and be a part of everything that's going on in the SoCal Network of Women Ministers.